Howdy everyone, this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to start a little series on a floral arrangement. So I'm going to start with this first arrangement, and I've got some bushes and I've got a vase here. My vase does have a little chip here, but we're not going to talk about that because we're going to hide that. Now many times when we see some bushes of florals and things like that in the store and we think they're beautiful flowers, we want to bring them home and we want to create an arrangement. And what a lot of people do is they just basically put the two bushes in a vase like this. Some may even go ahead and do a little bit of movement and get the flowers arranged in there a little bit. But I'm going to show you how to do a bit of a better job. Let's give it a little bit of a florist touch to this. So we want to go ahead and just put them in without having to use any styrofoam or anything like that. The first thing we want to do is we want to remove any labels that are on our floral bushes. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I've removed the labels off of my florals, and this is going to be my focal flower, the sunflower here. And what I want to do is I want to open it a little bit like that, open up these stems that are on the bush. And it had a couple other stems in here. I think I had 3 more. It was an odd number, and I like to work with odd numbers. But as you can see here, I have 4, but we'll pretend it has 5 because usually there's 5, 7, and so on. So I want to put this in here, and this one here in the middle kind of is the tallest one, and I want him up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend these to kind of create like a little shelf on the opening of my vase. So I'm just going to fold them down like that right now, okay? So you want to open them like that, and then you can bend them upward to the sides however you need these. So let's bend this one as well. But first I needed to create a little shelf, something where it rests so it doesn't go all the way into my vase, so that at least they are standing a little bit taller. So then I can take the other bush, and of course I'm going to spread that out as well. Leave some kind of in the center and spread out the outer ones. And I'm going to slide it where I feel like it's tilting. So it's tilting this way, as you can see. So I'm going to push this up, put the full stem inside there, and then now I can just start folding. And then if I have to adjust my sunflowers, I will. And you can already see here that it's already looking a little bit better because it's a little bit more open. It actually looks like I may have just taken single stems and put them in there, but saved myself some styrofoam and so forth. Now, the next thing you might want to do is you could just take some tissue paper like this, napkins, whatever you might have at home. Maybe you have a tissue paper that you use for wrapping, in your gift bags. And we're going to stuff some in there just like that, just to keep it tight in there so, the items don't move around. And if you use a pretty colored tissue paper and it shows, then it won't matter too much. So this is what I'm going to do. Just stuff some of this in there. I'm not pushing it all the way through because it does get wider down here and I don't want to push the paper in. I just want to create a little tightening there so that things won't move around on me, because as they were just like that, they kind of flopped around. Alright, so then what you could do is then take some moss, like I have this moss right here, and then just take some little bits, and if you're using the tissue paper like I am, and not a pretty colored one, and you want to cover that up, then just put the little pieces of moss over on top of the tissue paper, and that'll cover it up. So this is just a little way, or a little hint, a little trick, whatever you want to call it, of creating a little floral design with some bushes without having to use any styrofoam, especially for those that don't have wire cutters and all these extra things. But you want to make a nice arrangement, and you don't want to just stuff your flowers into your vase or container, pitcher, vase, whatever you want to call it. And there we go. It's nice and open arrangement, and that looks really pretty. But I'm going to go the extra step, and I'm going to go pro floral designer on you. So let's do that. Alright, so now to create a more professional floral design, I want to use my hot glue gun, and I've got some styrofoam here that I want to work with. And I want the styrofoam piece to fit tightly in the opening of my container or vase. So this is going to go in there, and I'm just going to push it in, and it's nice and tight, as you can see. So now what I want to do is I want to shave some of this off, because I don't need this whole piece to go in there. I just need enough to hold my stems. And I can trim a little bit on the sides, just like that with my scissors. You can use a little knife. I use one from the Dollar Tree. It's just a regular little steak knife, but I like to call it my little craft knife. All right, so now I can push the styrofoam back in there, and it won't pop out because sometimes when you try to force something in there, it'll tend to pop right back out. So you want to do a little trimming, all right? And that's what I've done. So now I'm just going to take my glue gun and add some glue on the edges to make sure that styrofoam does not come out. All right, so I feel like I got enough hot glue in there to hold it all down. So ideally, I like to let it dry and, cool off and let it dry. So make sure that that is in there, because once you start moving stems around in there, you could pull things out. So we want to make sure that it dries. So usually when I'm creating floral arrangements, I put all my styrofoam in all my containers, have them ready, and I move on to the next step, which is taking my florals. And if I have single stems, I just go ahead and make sure I remove any tags that are on them. But here I have a bush, and I'm going to remove them from the bush. Now, I only need 3 flowers, so I'm actually just going to remove 3 because I like to use an odd number, and that's usually what floral designers do. So I'm going to take the longest one here. Actually, 3. Like I said, the 3 longest ones. I can save this one. I actually don't even need to have it on this little stem, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off at the lowest point and save one of my flowers for another little arrangement or some little project that I may have. So now here I've got my 3 focal flowers, and I'm going to create a triangle. So I'm going to take my arrangement, or my container I should say. My tallest stem was this one right here, and I'm going to compare it to my picture here and decide how tall I want it to be. Usually when I have something like really tall, I don't go super tall. I just go somewhere in the middle, or you can even actually keep it low and keep it nice and round. Now, if you want to make something really grand, of course, go super tall if you have a tall vase. But in this case, I'm just going to go just a normal height here, not too tall. So I have a really long stem here that I don't need all of this. And my styrofoam is just a little piece like that, so I don't need that much. So I'm going to go ahead and trim. And actually, it's got a little bit of a marking there where I can trim it. So easy peasy. There we go. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of glue. And the styrofoam should be dry when you do this. The glue should be dry so that you don't push it further in if it's still wet. So there we go. There's our flower. Now, this is going to be a centerpiece, so my flower can just be facing upward. If I was going to make this an arrangement that I was going to put on a table against a wall, what I want to do, this is the front. I want to bend this down a little bit so that it's facing forward. So I'm going to leave it upward because it's only 3 flowers that I'm working with. If I had more, I could put one this way and then one this way. All right. And then, of course, I'd have to add more on the sides to make an odd number. Okay, but if you want to work with an even number, that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to take the other one, and I should have discussed that I'm going to put this one kind of flowing out of our arrangement this way. And then, of course, you're going to take it again, and I've already added glue, and I've gone ahead of myself. So you're going to hold it up against your vase, and you're going to decide the length. So actually, I'm going to trim it, and then I'm going to add the glue to it. I want these little sticks to stick together instead of to my table. All right, that's one of them had a little bit of glue on it. So I'm going to have this one going forward. Here's the front where, you know, the picture would, of course, pour out. So I want this kind of like pouring out this way. And now the other one is going to go in the opposite on the other side. Okay, so everything is mirrored. So I'm going to put this one coming out towards the back on the side. Is that to the side or to the back? Okay, so now again, I'm going to trim this. A little bit of glue. And then just slide it right in. There we go. So here I've created a triangle. I actually want to go a little bit lower on this one. Here we go, just like that. I'm folding it, or bending the stem, but I'm also popping the flower upward a little bit. Okay, just pop them open. And here we have a triangle. So now we're going to fill in all the way around. Now, if we wanted to work with 5 flowers, we'd have another flower coming out this way and another flower coming out this way. And this would make it all nice and round. But I only have 4 flowers, so I'm going to go ahead and just work with the 3 that I have. All right, so now I'm going to use these flowers, and I'm going to remove them all from the bush. Again, cutting at the longest point, because I don't know how short or long I need these pieces to be. So I'm just going to cut them all long. All right, so now they're all off the stem here, that large piece, so remove that. And I'm going to look at my stems here and see which ones are the longest ones. And I want to push up the little leaves on them so that nothing is at the very bottom, and straighten them, because remember I did open them up and bend them a little bit. So I'm just going to straighten them up, and they're pretty much all the same length, but I have to say that I do like these two for whatever reason. Maybe they just stand a little straighter, I don't know. All right, so I'm going to pick these two and I'm going to put them on either side of this sunflower, but I want to make sure that they're not taller than the sunflower. So again, I'm going to hold it up and then just make sure these little flowers are lower. I don't mind these little bits here coming out above the sunflower. I just don't want the other flowers to be taller than my sunflower. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this bottom leaf because I can see that I'm not going to need it. I'm going to push up the smaller one here. I see some little petals on here that are kind of coming off and they're kind of drooping, so I'm just going to trim them off, make my little flowers look a little fresher. By the way, in case you're wondering, I did get these floral bushes from Hobby Lobby. I got them some time ago and I've had them waiting to be used. Alright, so this is going to go right here. I want these flowers a little bit lower than the sunflower. So again, I only need a little bit to go into the styrofoam so I can trim that off. And I'm going to do the same with another piece that's going to go on the other side. Mirror, mirror on the opposite. And then also I want to kind of twist around these little leaves here because they're kind of all like going in the same way, so I wanted to twist them so they had some this way and some this way. All right. Okay, so now that I've got that and I'm kind of forming a round arrangement here, look at it from the top. There we go. I'm going to start filling in with all these other little stems. So I'm going to push these leaves up quite a bit because I now want to put one somewhere here and then the one on the other side. Again, mirror to each other, but a little bit lower than these two. And this time I'm not really removing that bottom little bit of leaves because I want to give it some fullness down here. There we go. So I'm going to place it next to that sunflower. And now I want to place one next to this sunflower. Push it up. Trim. Once you've trimmed one piece and you kind of know where to trim the other one, you can trim them both right next to each other so you can do the you know, close to each other, you know, the height or the length on them. There we go. So now this little flowers are accompanying this pretty sunflower here. And I've got all of this that I'm going to use to fill. Okay, so I've added that one that's dripping forward here, and I've gone ahead and added another one here in the back that is dripping towards the back. I've got a couple more that I can use to fill, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to use them. I feel like I've got a lot of greenery at the bottom, so I'm removing this thicker leaves on them. I also don't really care too much for that particular green on those leaves, so I don't mind removing some. Okay, so I also have this greenery here, and I feel like I don't really need it, but I'm going to go ahead and use it because I do want to give it this green tone. And this particular piece that I have is from a bush that had lots of pieces that were vining outward. So I'm going to take these pieces and I'm actually going to separate the branches here. So I'm going to cut this one into one branch, cut another one here, another branch or stem, whatever you want to call it. And then I have this nice long one, and I'm going to see, I think it's a little too long, so I'm going to cut it as close to this leaf here, right there at that little joint, so that I have a stem on this piece here. And then this piece has its own little stem. So I can use that, which I kind of like, to kind of flow out along with this floral piece right here. So some glue. Push it in, and then just bend it and shape it, you know, to be form that you want it to take. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take another one of these. This one has a flower that's a little too close to the bottom here, so I'm going to cut right above it, right there. Not a flower, a leaf I should have said, a little stem of leaves, which are a little too close, and it wasn't giving me enough of a stem to insert, so that's why I trimmed it. I'm going to put this one back here over the handle. I don't really want greenery to cover the handle. Okay? And I can actually take this little piece and use it as a filler somewhere in there just to hide the styrofoam. So I'll just go ahead and fill in with these other pieces of greenery. And I like this one because it has a smaller leaves. So I kind of like those to kind of stick out at the top here. So we're going to push that right in the middle. Now I am noticing something is that this sunflower here has this really big leaf. So I want to make sure that I kind of move it out of the way, because I could, when I'm pushing this in, actually smear some of the hot glue on that leaf and burn myself. So you want to be really careful when you're inserting things in the middle, that the stem that has the glue is not touching something, because when you get your hand at that level, it's going to get it on you. So just be careful. All right, so that's really pretty. I like that. And that's kind of facing to the front. So I want to make sure that I have some greenery back here. So I'll go ahead and use this one. And then just kind of look in between and move things around so you don't get that glue on your hands. Push it in, and there we go. Let me look at it from my point of view. I'm just going to kind of fold the flowers up a little bit so it kind of gets in between those two giant leaves, so it breaks them up and it's not just one giant, because it looks like one giant piece of greenery right here. So putting the little flowers right here kind of breaks all that up. And there we go. This is what it's looking like. And now all I want to do is just kind of look around, and if I see any styrofoam, then I would take whatever moss or Spanish moss or this kind of moss, if you have some of that, just tuck it in there to hide any styrofoam. I could also take this little greenery here, which I'm going to do, this little leftover piece here, and slide it in there, and that covers up that piece of styrofoam that I was seeing at the front there. And that is it, you guys. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to mess it around with it anymore, because I feel that is perfectly fine, and it gives it more of a natural look if you don't try to make everything way too even, okay? Just make sure that you don't have any pieces that are too crowded together. Open them up if you have that, and then just kind of look at things and just kind of imagine a little butterfly trying to fly around in there. Give it some little space to do that, and that is it. All right, let's push this up a little bit here. There we go, and I love it, everyone. So my arrangement is complete. So now I've shown you how to take some floral bushes and create a simple little arrangement if you just want to put them in there without any styrofoam and give it a nice floral designer look. You're going to be faking it, but if you don't want to fake it and you want to do the real thing, use some styrofoam, some moss, some glues, and some wire cutters. You're going to need those to cut. So all I need to do now is just clean off all my glue webs from my vase here, and I think it is really, really pretty. I don't see that little chip that was on the lip of the vase now. So fantastic, everyone. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up and leave a nice comment down below and let me know what you think of my little floral arrangement. This is just my little starter for floral design for this year of 2021. So if you also have some ideas or some suggestions that you'd like to see me do, I've got some florals that I have purchased, and I've already got some ideas of some arrangement styles that I want to do. But if you have something that you'd like to see me do, please let me know. I am going to be doing about I think 4 more arrangements for you. So I hope that you enjoy them. Please subscribe to my channel. I hope you're enjoying it and you will subscribe, and also please hit that little notification bell. Please choose all, because otherwise you will not get notified of my videos. I don't know what's happening, but YouTube is just being a little picky, and we have to just tell YouTube, hey, I want my videos. So hit that little notification bell. Like I said, subscribe. Make sure you like the video and leave a comment down below. That's also really important. Don't leave any little emojis for some reason that throws off the algorithm. Leave a comment, even if it's just saying nice. Okay? That is all. Thank you all very much. Make sure you share on your social medias. And as always, enjoy.